What order do you want me to make just in a row, right?
So I say after the order
Fabulous Hunter's Green Panthers. So I'm gonna have our guests come in.
Hi guys.
Hi, welcome.
Yep. So come on in. We can go up to the front.
Yes.
So we have.
Let me know when you want me to switch it.
Okay. Something very special. So we have Miss Harada. She is our science, elementary science supervisor. We also have Laura, who shared one of our Hunters Green Panthers projects with someone very, very special. And this individual was so inspired and just really wanted to recognize one of our Hunters Green Panthers. So I'm going to turn it over to the two of them right now to present.
Perfect. And we have some special guests in the back.
Oh, sorry.
How about everybody come forward?
Yeah.
So it can be a team effort.
So we also have Member Bond. She's our school board member for our region. A lot of you know Ms. Hoffman. She was here last year and is one of our DRTs. We have Ms. Zilbar, Amy Zilbar with us. We have Kristen with us. And sorry, I only know the first name. And then we have Megan? Michelle. Michelle. I knew it started with an M. We have Michelle, and then we have two other special guests too with us to support this presentation. So.
And our special guest might have given away who our student is.
Yes.
So where's Caroline? Can you come up here? Do you mind?
She doesn't know what to do with herself.
So this is all for you. And so as a student scientist, we all love science. You like science? So as your principal shared, your project inspired someone in the world. And that's really what we want to do, right? And it is, see, I'm getting all teary-eyed. Because it is amazing that you as a student inspired someone else. And so you inspired our science coach, Laura Dunn. And then she went and made a connection. We're going to share what that connection was. So I can't tell you how unbelievably proud we are of you. This thing, you did your project last year. And we're still talking about your project now, right? So for all of you that have an interest in doing a project and creating a solution to a problem, don't ever forget to do that, right? No matter how small or big it is. And so we want to celebrate you and all your accomplishments today, okay? So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dunn to let her explain.
So Caroline, I talked to Mom, and she says you already know a little bit about the person I'm going to talk about. She actually works for NASA. Okay, just go ahead and hit. Here we go.
Just tell me when.
And when I showed her your video of your project, she was dumbfounded at how articulate, how well spoken you were, and how you learned a new skill, which was sewing, which had a very special part in her heart. So at Kennedy Space Center, they launch rockets. How many people do they launch rockets? Okay. Well, in your whole life, we have always had an astronaut floating up in outer space on the International Space Station. But we used to send them a different way. Nowadays, we send them on rockets from SpaceX, but we used to send them up on shuttles. And the great thing about shuttles is they would come back down and we would reuse them. The problem with that is it's a big machine and there's a lot of heat going in when they come back. And so if you look at that shuttle on the right-hand side, you'll see it's painted white. Well, that's not just white paint. There's something special about it. And so this is the shuttle, the orbiter Atlantis. How many people have been to Kennedy Space Center? Okay, how many people have seen Atlantis? Okay, what you may not have noticed is the outside of Atlantis is actually covered in thermal blankets. You're like, it wasn't white paint? It wasn't white paint. There were people actually sewing blankets, and then they go ahead and glue them on, and if you look really closely, you can actually see that there's a waffling or quilting effect as they sewed these things, and they got in, so they would sew 4 stitches to an inch if it was on a machine, and if they were doing it by hand, it was 10 stitches by an inch, and they had to get it within a millimeter. How much is a millimeter? Show me a millimeter. Yeah, it's teeny. It's just a little wider than my hair. And so they would sew these wonderful things, and you could actually see the stitches in there. Well, there were 18 women whose job it was to make sure the astronauts were safe and alive on their way back, and they had to protect them from the heat. And one of those people's name was Jean Wright. And if you look also around that dome, that white there, that is all hand sewn. So even around the domes of the thruster engines, you still have hand-sewn parts. But Jean Wright and a group of 17 other ladies, their job was just to sew. But they didn't just sew. They actually had to make blueprints of their own. They were given blueprints of the shuttle, and they had to make their own pattern pieces for the thermal blankets. Kind of like what you did. You made your own blueprint and you made your own pattern pieces. Well, Jean heard about you, and she went ahead and autographed a book for you, which we'll see in a second. That book is about her life. It's not written by her, but it's written about her. And when I showed her your video, she said, I have to talk to this girl. And so she has a message for you. Give it a second to load. Go ahead.
Caroline, it's pleased to meet you even though it's this way. I'm very impressed with you. I watched your video and you're such a creative young woman. And you only go to prove that science encompasses so many things like creativity and writing and drawing. For me, I'm a sewer, a perceived sewist, and I'm really impressed with you. You'll go far in your life, I can tell that you will. And so from one sew sister to another, congratulations.
So, Karen, she also said something for you, Caroline.
So she sent you this book, which is her book, Sew Sister, The Untold Story of Jean Wright and NASA's Seamstress. And she wrote a nice little inscription to you here, which says, to Caroline, keep your eyes on the stars. So impressed, you know how to sew. I'm making you an honorary Sew Sister, and it's signed by Jean Wright herself. It has the inscription and the signature here. So this is your own special copy that she wanted you to have, because now you're a Sew Sister. What do you say, Caroline?
A lot.
There's
a lot to say.
Science Inquiry Live. Here you go. Here's some wonderful gifts for you, just for you that you can take care of you.
Looking forward to seeing what you have in store for us in the future. Best of luck. Keep it going.
Congratulations, Caroline.
Congratulations!